What's up, dispatchers? If you're watching Survival Dispatch, then you're one of the smart ones. Your mind is the most valuable survival tool you've got. God gave us a brain, so let's use it. Today we're going to talk about kit mentality. Everybody loves talking about gear. If you're like me, your kit is constantly changing. You pick up a new skill, so you pick up new tools. One thing you should remember is that your kit should always be inversely proportionate to your skill set. Just because you have a tool doesn't mean you know how to use it. You have to be careful taking out an insurance policy that you can't cash in. All too often, the emphasis is on the gear, and that's dangerous thinking. The most important factor in survival is your will to survive. And after that comes your experience and your skill set. Further on down comes knowledge. The very last thing should be the gear. A survival mindset founded on gear is really unstable. If you simply change your perspective, then it will solidify your foundation. What you really need is a decision-making process to help guide you. Before you can figure out what to carry, you've got to know why you're carrying it. What's the first thing you should do in an emergency? Obviously, you've got to mitigate any potential life threats. After that, it's really important to stop, think, observe, and make a plan. Now, before you can make a plan, you've actually got to understand what your priorities are. What are your needs, both long-term and short-term? Now, depending on what sources you get that information, the answers can be all over the place. In the military and law enforcement, they'll tell you that defense is your #1 priority. If you can't defend and hold your resources, they're worthless. If you talk to a first responder, they're going to tell you first aid is your highest priority. You've got an arterial bleed, guess what? In a few minutes, game over. If you read a book from the late 1800s, the early 1900s, the people that actually lived out here in the wilderness, they would tell you that rest is one of your highest priorities. And that makes sense to a degree because that's when we repair, rebuild, and recharge our bodies. If you're in the Scouts, they tell you that PMA, a positive mental attitude, is the most important priority because you're just really no good if you're out there just punching a tree. One thing that all survival instructors can agree on is the core 4. Shelter, water, fire, and food. And it's usually always in that order. Food always seems to be last on the list, but what if you're hypoglycemic or you have blood sugar problems? Would it become a higher priority then? Sheltering is important because of maintaining your core body temperature. A rise in 2 degrees or a fall in 2 degrees and you're in serious trouble. Water is also a very high priority. Your body is 66% water, and without it, your body's not going to do all the things that you need to survive. A lot of people say fire is probably the most important skill set in your survival priorities. Why? Because it's the gateway to meeting all of your survival priorities. It helps us to maintain our core body temperature. It helps us to keep predators away. It helps us boil our water, and it helps us cook our food. There are medicines we can make with fire, and it can even bring you comfort and help you keep a positive mental attitude. Fire can even help you signal for help, and there's much, much more. I'm pretty sure you can all tell where I'm going with this. I'm going to present a different way of thinking about it. Next time you think about your priorities, rather than looking at them in a list, look at them as if they're in a pie. Survival is all based on your environment and the situation that you're in. You can have somebody to help you identify and to help you understand your priorities, but in the end, you're the one who's going to have to manage them. You're the only one who truly knows your needs. Now that you've got your mindset under control and you understand your survival priorities, now you can start managing what you need and the resources that are around you. One thing that's going to help you with that is fire kit mentality. It's an acronym: Foundation, Intermediate, Resupply, and Extended. Kit mentality starts with a good foundation. What's your EDC? What do you have on you at all times? Emergency waits for no man. #1 thing I heard in the field as a SAR-1 was, I never thought it would happen to me. They weren't prepared and they weren't trained. And so I ask, how many priorities can you meet with what's in your pockets and what you're wearing? Next is your intermediate kit. This could be a backpack, a haversack, or even a purse. Do you have redundancy built into that kit? Is it truly a force multiplier? If you were injured, could another man, woman, or child carry your kit for you? You may have your priorities under control, but what about other people? How can you help them? Don't get monkey butt, because if you can't save your own ass, you can't save anyone else's. The next thing to think about is your resupply. Think about your vehicle. It's the best backpack you could ever ask for. When I would go on a disaster scene, I had to be prepared to live out of my vehicle for 2 weeks. If you're smart about it, just think about all the stuff that you can pack that will help not only yourself, but others as well. Last thing to think about is your extended kit. This could be your home. What do you have at work? Do you understand the value of all the resources that are around you in a woodland environment? What about an urban environment? Do you have survival caches planted along your bug out route? All too often, people just forget about their environments and what's available to them. If you're interested in how professionals put their kits together and fire kit mentality, just let us know in the comments section and we'll break it down into a series for you. And if you're honey smack digging the content, then do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, and leave us a snide remark in the comments. Until next time, Ghost Rider out.